Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 12 of the DNA Film Wars podcast.
Howdy, howdy.
Today is our discussion episode, and we will be discussing Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald and The Grinch, which came out this last weekend, but we're going to review it the next weekend, so we're reviewing it, or we're discussing it now. So I'm going to go ahead and issue an apology beforehand. Dylan is feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys.
And so he may be coughing and sniveling. He might sound a little rough.
If you hear me make some weird noises, or if I sound a little bit different than usual, I'm not feeling the best today. But the show must go on. So.
And if I capture this cold, I'm going to be very upset.
You're gonna get it.
I'm going to be very upset. Let's start out with your thoughts. You're a big Harry Potter fan, I know. What's your thoughts on this new Fantastic Beasts movie?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be all right. I mean, it's not going to be groundbreaking. It's not going to be great, probably, but it'll be good. I think it'll be a fun time. It'll be a movie set in the Harry Potter universe. So. Yeah,
well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not looking forward to it. I did not like the last one. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we go through and rank our films. But I did not like that last one. Johnny Depp is,
Don't you talk about Johnny Depp that way?
Every movie he plays in, he gets worse and worse. And I think this is going to be rock bottom for him.
Don't you talk about Johnny Depp that way?
So yeah, not looking forward to that one. What about this animated movie, The Grinch?
Well, I like Benedict Cumberbatch.
I think it's cool.
And Illumination's animated movies are not bad.
Spotty.
I mean... Despicable Me.
1 was good.
2 was
okay.
not bad. 3 was okay.
3 was not that good.
Minions was okay.
Yeah, okay.
Secret Life of Pets I haven't seen.
It's about as generic gets.
And so, I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, Illumination makes okay stuff. So it'll be alright. I mean, it'll be a fun time, especially for the kids, so.
Yeah, well, I'm not really looking forward to that one either. This is going to be a rough weekend for me. Yeah, like I said, I find the Illumination, except for a couple hits there, here and there, they're pretty generic and middle of the road as far as their product goes. They're definitely not Pixar.
Nobody's Pixar.
They are a few steps behind Pixar.
Their animation style is a lot different, too.
Probably a few steps behind DreamWorks. But, it is what it is. We're going to watch it, and we will see whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So, let's just get right into the meat of things. Why don't you start out with our rankings of the Harry Potter films with your number 9?
All right. So before we rank these films, we haven't seen any of these in a hot minute. It's probably
I have not
to
watched,
say the least.
I have not watched a Harry Potter film from beginning to end since Deathly Hallows Part 2 hit theaters.
Wow.
I don't know how long ago.
Well, you watched Fantastic Beasts, so.
Oh, okay. I don't count that, but yeah.
So all this, the way these are ranked right now is subject to change upon rewatching, and
Which
just because one is at the bottom doesn't mean they're a bad movie. It just means that it just
when Fantastic Beasts
higher.
3 inevitably comes out, we'll probably rewatch them and rank them again.
Yeah. Well, that's expected to have like 4 or 5 movies, so.
Yeah, this one's gonna bomb. We'll see.
So with that being said, coming at my number 9, though it is not a bad movie and I enjoy it quite a bit, is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Mm-hmm.
I like Eddie Redmayne quite a bit. I think he's done some pretty good stuff. I thought he was pretty good as Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything. And he was okay in that movie, The Danish Girl, that I watched wasn't bad, where he plays a transgender
I have not watched either of those.
Man.
So I can't speak.
It's not bad. He does a pretty good job with it. But I like Eddie Redmayne, and I like most of the actors in this movie. I think everyone does a pretty good job.
Wasn't he in Jupiter Ascending? Wasn't he the main villain in Jupiter Ascending?
I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen Jupiter Ascending.
I haven't either.
It was garbage.
I haven't either. The few scenes I watched it, I was like, oh, this is bad.
But with that being said, I mean, I enjoy Fantastic Beasts. It's not the best Harry Potter movie, but it's still a fun time, and I think all the creatures that are in the movie all look pretty good, and I think it's really cool to see them. It's cool to see somewhat of a prequel to the Harry Potter universe, so that comes in at my number 9.
Yeah, so no amount of rewatchings is going to change the fact that I have Fantastic Beasts number 9. Unlike you, I did not like this movie. I went and watched it when it came out, and I was very bored through most of it. The creatures do look kind of neat, but I didn't care for any of the characters. I didn't find any excitement in this movie. I thought that the plot was kind of stupid, and I thought that I don't know, a little heavy-handed with the eco-friendly message there. But I mean, when I say heavy-handed, they took their wand and broke it over your head with it. But yeah, I did not like it. That's why I'm not looking forward to this next one.
That's fair.
But you know, I don't know. The plot, quote unquote, plot twist that the bad guy was Johnny Depp was kind of funny.
I thought it was interesting.
Let's move on. What do you got, number 8?
All right, number 8. Again, this is all subject to change, but I remember the first time I watched this movie. I found it, if we're being honest, kind of boring. Doesn't mean it's a bad movie, but it is The Deathly Hallows Part 1. As I've gotten a little bit older, I do think that it is still a good movie. It's just kind of slow for a Harry Potter movie, and there's not really a whole lot going on as far as in relation to like all the other Harry Potter movies. Most of the Harry Potter movies are
action-packed from beginning to end.
except for maybe minus like the first one. The first one's not super action-packed, and there's a couple ones in there that are like, you know, heavy action-packed. Mostly like the first 3, they're not like super heavy action. After about Goblet of Fire, they start getting a little more actiony. But I think that this movie is still a good movie. It's just it's a little bit slower than the rest of them. The story is still good, and I think that their quest to find these Horcruxes is pretty good. And I think that our main trio of actors does a pretty good job in it. It's just, you know, like I said, the first time I remember watching it, and it's a tad boring and kind of slow. So that's why it's at my number 8.
Yeah, number 8, I have Order of the Phoenix. I don't really care for this movie. I think like the main plot of it is basically this mean wizard comes to Hogwarts and is like, you know, mean to everybody. She's like taking place Dumbledore's place while he's on administrative leave or whatever. I always found this one to be kind of boring. I don't think a lot happens in it. Like I said, it's been a while since I watched it, but I just remember always thinking that it was just kind of meh. But
That's fair.
Anyway, move on.
Alright, well, coming in at my number 7 is Order of the Phoenix. Again, none of these movies are bad movies in my opinion. I really enjoy all of them. Order of the Phoenix for me, I don't understand how you take the longest book and make it the shortest movie. But with that being said, I still think it's not bad. With our main trio,
It is the longest
book. It's the longest book, yeah. With our main trio of characters, you know, kind of trying to find Harry Potter's prophecy toward the end of the movie, and the final like action-y battle.
Is that the one where they fight like the bad guys in that like giant thing of glass globes or whatever?
Yeah. And Sirius Black gets killed by Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what ranks this movie a little bit higher for me is that ending part. I really enjoyed that a lot. And I think that boosts up the end of it a lot, and that helps to be higher up on my list. So that's coming in at my number 7.
Yeah, at number 7, I had the Half-Blood Prince. I think this movie has some pros and cons. On one side, it's kind of slow in parts, but I really do like some scenes in it. Like one of the more powerful scenes I feel like in the Harry Potter franchise is when Dumbledore tells Harry Potter that he's gonna drink that poison or whatever, and he's like, whatever I say, don't let me quit drinking it. And then he starts drinking it, and of course he starts begging Harry to let him stop drinking it, but Harry has to make him drink it and everything. And then Dumbledore dies. But which one was the one where Dumbledore and Voldemort fight at the end? Was that Order of the Phoenix?
I think Order of the Phoenix they fight in toward the end
Or was it
briefly.
Goblet of Fire? No, it was Goblet of Fire, wasn't it? So, yeah, that just means the one I was.
No, he doesn't fight him in Goblet of Fire.
Anyway, point is, and of course they killed Dumbledore. It's really emotional, and overall, it's a good movie, but it's gonna come in towards the bottom at number 7 for me.
All right. Well, coming at number 6 on my movie, it's not the best Harry Potter movie, but I really enjoyed this one when I was younger.
At number what?
Number 6.
Oh, I thought you said number 7.
Number 6.
Okay.
I have Chamber of Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I really enjoyed this when I was young. It's our second movie, so our characters are a little bit older and they're a little bit more experienced and versed in the world of Hogwarts. And we start to see this underlying subplot of Harry being like, quote unquote, the chosen one. come to fruition a little bit.
Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Shh. We get some pretty interesting scenes with a little bit of backstory about Voldemort and how his real name is Tom Riddle or whatever, and then we enter the Chamber of Secrets because Ginny Weasley opened it, and we get to see our first Horcrux being destroyed in Tom Riddle's diary, and that's how Harry finds out all this stuff about Voldemort and Tom Riddle, and I just think it's a really interesting time.
Quick question, since you brought up The Chosen One. When was the first Harry Potter book published?
1997 or 8.
So Chamber of Secrets has been around
2000.
Really?
Probably. I can look. Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, look that up. Which one is that up there?
This is Chamber of Secrets.
Which one was that? When was that published?
Chamber of Secrets was published in 98, so that first one might have been published in 97.
When did Phantom Innocence come out in 99? So who ripped off who with The Chosen One?
But if you think about it, George Lucas had that whole plan before.
Yeah, but nobody really knew about that.
Anyway, we have gotten way off topic.
Way off top of that, distracted by Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Number 6. That was my number 6, Chamber of Secrets. So coming in at number 5 or number 6 for you, what do you got?
I got Deathly Hallows Part 1. Unlike you, I access to that. Kind of like you, I do find the large portions of this movie to be kind of boring. My main problem with the Harry Potter franchise, particularly when you get this late into it, for those of us who have not read the books, I feel like probably starting with, I don't know, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, they start stuffing characters in here, minor characters in here left and right. And I honestly had a really hard time with Deathly Hallows, especially since I had not went back and rewatched all the Harry Potter movies leading up to Deathly Hallows. I had a really hard time of keeping up with all the references to who was who what did, who did what when, why they did it. And I just feel like, and if you're not right there caught up with all of it, you're kind of struggling to keep up with exactly what's going on. But with that being said, I do think there's some powerful moments in Deathly Hallows Part 1, particularly at the very end when Dobby gets killed. That hit me hard. He's one of my favorite characters.
He sacrificed himself.
He sacrificed himself. Poor little Dobby. Got his little sock. But it suffers from the same kind of problems that a lot of these newer films that are split into two suffer from. That kind of like Mockingjay Part 1. What's the other big one?
Twilight.
They all suffer from issues. But anyway, when you do a book like that and you split into two movies, most of the time you can tell that first movie is not a complete story. And that's definitely
I think this is the book and movie that started that whole Part 1, Part 2 fad.
I think Twilight did it first, didn't he? No?
Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2 came out in 2011 and 2012.
Okay.
These movies came out in 2010 and 11.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
That seems awfully early.
Or right around the same time, basically. But I think they were the first ones. They were the first ones to do it. But it's really understandable why they did it. That's an 800-page book.
They condensed. Okay, you're right. But
they're making it into two
see,
maybe
I was about to say they
movies.
condensed it into it, but they did. The Shining. They condensed The Shining down into one movie. Okay.
That movie was over 2.5 hours.
Whatever. And so these movies were close to 2.5 hours apiece.
Anyway,
off track again. Like I said, I do think it suffers largely because of that Part 1 status. But overall, it's a fun time, so I got number 6.
Alright, well, coming at number 5 for me is another fun one, and it's going to be Goblet of Fire. It's not the best one. Still a fun time. We get Robert Pattinson in this one.
Oh my god.
He dies at the end.
I know. This was his I feel bad for him that he got stuck. I don't know if bad's the right word. I feel bad for his career that he got stuck in Twilight. Because he will never be able to escape the fact that he was Edward in Twilight.
Those movies defined his career.
They are his career. Name one other movie besides this movie he's been in.
Remember Me?
I don't even know what that is.
He dies at the end of that one too.
Okay, well I see a theme here. I think he lives in Twilight, but
Anyway, number 5 is Goblet of Fire. I think the entire premise behind this one about a set of quote-unquote games that these people, the Triwizard Tournament that these characters compete in for
This was the basis for Hunger Games, though they'll never admit it.
I think it's a fun time, and Harry Potter is not eligible to compete in the games, but somehow his name gets thrown in. But we won't talk about that.
Plot twist.
But it's a fun time, and he competes, and of course he ends up winning. But at the end of the movie, we get our first reveal of Voldemort in full form.
Without the nose?
Yeah, well, no, he has the nose. He always has the nose.
Well, I mean, like, without, but he doesn't have a nose.
That's true.
He has two little slits.
Yeah, it's kind of like a snake.
Anyway, are you done?
No.
Okay.
We finally get to meet him in full form, and Harry has his first battle or duel with him, I guess you would call it. It's a good time, but I like it.
Coming in at number 5, I have Deathly Hallows Part 2. So the sequel to the one that I did last. Deathly Hallows Part 2 is it's a good movie. I really like it. It's a fun movie. I really like the big battle at the end when they're all like shooting little wand lasers at each other and stuff.
Boom!
And you know, it's like the end is really cool. You have like the shield, this is kind of all copied off Star Wars. I feel like now that I start talking about it, the shield coming down over Hogwarts and like the giant stone statues that help fight the bad guys and everything. And of course, you have like the Snape turns good at the end when he's dying.
He was always good.
He was always good, sort of, but he kind of walked the line there. But
It was the underlying plot. He was always good. He was always there to help Harry.
yeah. Okay, he was still a douche about it though.
He's forcing him to be a better person.
Okay. Anyway, you know, the final showdown between Harry and Voldemort's pretty cool.
It's epic.
It really, I think, caps off the franchise really solid. Reasons that I have it at number 5 and not closer to the top, I think that it sort of suffers from that being split in two thing. It's not a complete story. If you have not watched Deathly Hallows Part 1, you can't just walk into Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Probably not.
And of course, then again, if you haven't watched most of the Harry Potter movies, you can't just walk into. Like I said earlier, you can't just walk into Deathly Hallows Part 2. You're gonna have no clue what's going on. I do think it slows down at times. I don't know. I think, like I said, overstuffed with characters. There's just too many characters in this movie. But I mean, that's not really the movie maker's fault. They're trying to do justice to the book. I understand that. Anyway, overall, it's a really good movie. I got it at number 5.
All right. Well, coming at number 4 for me is one that was a little bit lower on your list, and it's going to be The Half-Blood Prince. I think this is one of the better made movies of the franchise. It's a good time. We learned that Snape's the original Half-Blood Prince. Ooh, big plot twist. Overall, no, this movie's good. It's well acted. It's well made, and I enjoy it a lot. Not much more to be said. Number 4.
At number 4, I have Goblet of Fire.
Well, all right.
I actually really liked the plot of this movie, the games they go through. Especially, I know this came before Game of Thrones, but the games with the dragons.
He has to get that dragon egg.
Now reminds me of Game of Thrones so much. But,
The dragons in Game of Thrones might look a little bit better.
What?
The dragons in Game of Thrones might look a little bit better.
Well, I mean, yeah, the CGI is newer.
That's fair, but still.
But, I mean, it is a TV show and they outdid Harry Potter. But whatever, it doesn't matter. The dragons look cool. For the time, they look pretty cool. And I think they, like I said, the scenes with the dragons are cool. I always loved dragons, movies about dragons or movies with dragons in them. I also like the scene where they're running through the maze that's trying to kill him or whatever. Kind of reminds me of The Shining. I think that's the scene where, what's his face gets his mortal wound, Robert Pattinson.
Well, they teleport. They reach the goblet and they touch it, and it's a port key, and then they like teleport to this cemetery where Voldemort is, and that's where he gets killed.
Oh, that's where he gets killed.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so he gets killed, unfortunately.
Poor Rob.
But overall, it's a really fun movie. Like I said, it's the first confrontation between Voldemort and Harry Potter. Well, I'll say first. It's the first confrontation where Voldemort has his classic look,
Full form,
and they have their little fight there. But you know, like I said, overall, really enjoyed it. Fun time. Next.
All right, coming in at number 3, I have the first movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I really enjoy this movie a lot, and I think it's a great way to kick off the franchise. This one is directed by Chris Columbus, technically, I guess. Yes, the man who discovered America directed this movie.
It's also composed. I have to say.
It is also composed by John Williams.
The first 3 films are composed by John
Yes.
Williams.
So
What did I just say?
John D. Williams. Is that what you just said? Billy D.
John Williams. I don't know where the middle part came from. John Williams.
I'm just gonna start over. So coming at number 3, I have Harry Potter and the
I'm
Sorcerer's
leaving all this in.
Stone.
This is the fun part of the podcast. I don't know what you're talking about.
I really enjoy this movie. This first one's directed by Chris Columbus, who did Home Alone, which is another great movie. We'll talk about that probably later. Did you just say I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Anyway, and the music.
I like Home Alone. I got it on my top 5 list.
The music is done by John Williams, so we can thank him for the amazing score of this movie that has become classic and iconic through the years. But this is a really good way to kick off a franchise, and I think it's just it's a fun time overall, especially getting to meet our main trio characters. Can you please stop making that face? But it's a good time, and I like it a lot, and it's coming in at my number 3.
Yeah, I used to watch this one a bunch as a kid, so I got number 3, Sorcerer's Stone 2. I really like the end there where like Voldemort has like the is on the back of the other guy's face. Who's the other guy?
Professor Quirrell.
Professor Quirrell. He's on the back of Professor Quirrell's face or whatever, and that showdown's pretty cool. Of course, I mean it's the first Harry Potter movie, and I mean they do a great job of world building. They have like when they first go into Hogwarts, and there's like all the hanging candles in the dining room, and there's the hat that tells them what house they're in or whatever, and as they're discovering like how to use their wands, how to use their magic, and anyway, so like and then of course we're introduced to all the characters, and this movie, before the show gets overloaded with characters, I love all the characters in this movie. And I love Harry's backstory about he has the abusive step-parents and everything. They're aunt and uncle.
There's aunt and uncle.
His abusive aunt and uncle and everything. And I mean, overall, I mean, it's just a great start to the franchise. So I got that in at number 3.
All right. Well, coming in at number 2 for me is going to be the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I have this one on my list at number 2 because I just think it was a really killer way to end the franchise, or I guess not the franchise in general, but I think it's a great way to end the main story arc of the franchise before we hit up Fantastic Beasts. But it's a really good time. There's a lot of great action in this one. The Battle of Hogwarts is really cool. I think it's cool that Harry sacrificed.
The Battle of Hogwarts is this is Star Wars like remade into a straight.
Just hush. It's just it's a classic story about the battle of good versus evil.
It's just like Star Wars.
Just hush. It's a good time. The Battle of Hogwarts is a really cool time. I think it's really cool that Harry sacrifices himself, but then uses the Resurrection Stone, which is part of the Deathly Hallows, to come back to life. And then we see Dumbledore in like an all-white version of King's Cross Station, and Harry talks to him, and then he finds out his true purpose, and that he was a Horcrux, and that he had to die to defeat Voldemort. And then we get the final showdown with Harry and Voldemort, and it's an epic one. It's just a fun time. So that's my number 2.
All right. Well, with my number 2, I have Chamber of Secrets.
Oh yeah.
Which is probably the one I've seen the most.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really like this kid as a film. I've seen this. Like I said, I've seen this one more than any other Harry Potter film. It's really enjoyable. I really like the showdown at the end between Harry and the snake. What's it called?
Nagini, I believe is her name.
Whatever, the snake. And I mean, like, it's also got it's got the scene with the spider, I believe. That's Chamber of Secrets, right? Mm-hmm. Scene with the spider. I hate spiders. So as a kid,
you're talking about Chamber of Secrets. You're talking about the basilisk. The basilisk that he fights at the end. The big lizard.
Oh, the basilisk.
It's the basilisk.
What were you talking about?
I was talking about Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Voldemort's snake.
In fact, I like you're supposed to be expert over here. Expert over here. Anyway, back on track. I'm sorry, I got way off topic. The scene with the spider is really cool. It really creeped me out as a kid. Again, it really builds on those characters that they introduced in the first one. I think it does a really great job of that. Love everybody in this movie. I think all the acting's great. Especially considering this film and the first one, how young our 3 main protagonists are. But anyway, yep, coming in at number 2 is part 2. So, what's your number 1?
Alright, well, number 1 for me is the third film, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Spelled with a Z. I was unaware of that. Oh well. Azkaban. I think this is where the franchise starts to take a little bit less lighthearted tone.
Oh, definitely. They
sure.
They go from
a little bit darker.
They go from kid friendly to like real dark real fast.
Boom, just right into it. We meet Dementors, and we start having people like prophesying about stuff and bad things that are happening, and one of our professors is a werewolf, and it's just it takes a dark turn. At the very beginning of the film, Harry makes his uncle's sister blow up like a giant balloon, and she floats out the window.
That was one of the more lighthearted moments.
He gets on a bus, and there's some creepy stuff in that opening first few minutes, and he gets on this bus, and it takes him to the Leaky Cauldron, and then we get to the Leaky Cauldron, and there's some weird people there, and some weird stuff goes down, and then we get on our train, and we go to Hogwarts, where we meet Dementors, and overall, it's just a real fun time, and I think this one really set the tone for the rest of the series, and that's why it's probably my favorite one, and it's my number 1.
Yeah, I got Prisoner of Azkaban at number 1 too. I really love the werewolf aspect of it.
You like werewolves?
Yeah, I do like werewolves. That's an interesting twist. The little guy that turns into the rat. Of course, you have Gary Oldman comes into the franchise as Sirius Black.
Oh, I didn't even mention that. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's and like Dylan said, this film is where the franchise really takes a darker turn. I really appreciate how the franchise kind of gets darker as it goes, and I can really appreciate how J.K. Rowling, when she's writing the novels, her novels kind of grew up with her audience. They got darker as her initial audience got older. But I definitely Hallows Part 2. I mean, it's really dark. It's got some really dark stuff going on there, and it really starts with this third film, with, like you said, there's the, what did you call them?
Dementors.
The Dementors, and all the like underlying themes with Harry and his aunt and uncle and depression, and like all this is going on, and I mean it gets pretty dark, and I can really appreciate that because I like darker movies. So I'm a darker person inside.
His soul's black.
Black as coal. And so, yep, and number 1, I got Prisoner of Azkaban, and I think I'm tired of talking about Harry Potter.
All right. Yeah, you're not a Harry Potter fan, so
I won't say I'm not. I don't dislike.
You're not
Harry
not
Potter.
a Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, I don't dislike Harry Potter. I just don't fawn over it like I do Star Wars or Godzilla or whatever.
That's fair. All right, so now that we've ranked our Harry Potter films, let's get into our top 5 favorite Christmas films in honor of the Grinch. I'll let you go ahead and start it off. What's your number 5?
Number 5, I have the classic, the penultimate Christmas film. Is that the right use for the word penultimate?
Sure.
Yeah, I use big words.
Go with it.
I don't really know what they mean. A Christmas Story.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little dated, I'm not gonna lie, but there's still some great moments in it when he's like, "Oh, fudge." But I didn't really say fudge. And then, like, you know, of course, the line everybody remembers, "You'll shoot your eye out."
You'll shoot your eye out.
And, I mean, you know, it's a really fun time.
Side note, my best friend when I was a kid looked exactly like Ralphie.
Which one?
My best friend when I was really little back in Texas.
Oh.
Exactly like him. His name's Bryce.
That's funny. And anyway, I mean, you know, it's a really fun time. It's a classic. Everybody's seen it a dozen times. I love it when the kid gets his tongue stuck to a frozen pole. That really happened in our town once.
Did it really?
You didn't know? You know that?
All right. Coming in at number 5 on my list is one of my favorites when I was a kid.
Oh boy.
And that's going to be a Tim Allen movie. And it's The Santa Claus. I really love this movie. I think it's a really fun time. The concept of a man killing Santa and then becoming Santa because he puts on his clothes, and
That's
like
kind of funny.
it's kind of a funny concept, and he like takes over Santa's responsibilities after the rest of that night, and then ends up at the North Pole, where he is explained this clause. Clause.
Is it pun?
And he has to become Santa because he killed Santa and put on the suit. So now he's Santa, and then we progress through the next year leading up toward Christmas, and he's gaining weight and growing facial hair, and he's become very hungry, and he likes to eat sweets, and people start thinking that he's Santa, and they start treating him like Santa, and then he gets his list. It's just a really fun time, and I've really always enjoyed this movie. It's an older one, but I like it a lot. And
Back when Tim Allen still had a career.
Don't you talk about Tim Allen that way. He's getting ready to be in a movie we're going to talk about at the end of this.
Anyway, number four, as much as it pains me, as much as I hate Will Ferrell.
Don't you talk about Will Ferrell like that.
I have Elf at number 4.
Love Elf.
Because it is funny. It is kind of sweet. I'm sorry, that word is hard for me to say.
Again, Aaron Soul's black.
Yeah. I mean, it is really funny, especially at the beginning when he's like a grown man, like in the elf village or whatever. And then he goes back and he's like, he thinks that Santa, this mall Santa thing is real.
Santa!
He starts working there, yeah. And, I mean, it is funny. It's one of Will Ferrell's better movies. One of the few I can sit and tolerate the whole film from beginning to end. But, yeah, so, because of that, got it in at number 4.
Alright, well, coming at number 4 is also, for me, is also going to be Elf. I enjoy most of Will Ferrell's movies. Not all of them. Talladega Nights, Step Brothers,
two of
my favorites.
You have not named a good movie yet? Like, I tried, when I first watched, little side note, when I first watched Talladega Nights, I thought it was kind of funny. But I sat down and rewatched it here recently. It's not funny. I mean, there are a couple of laughs in it, but
just be quiet.
It's just not funny.
All right, so Elf is a really good time. I really like Will Ferrell as a grown man who believes he's an elf. I think he plays that character so well. It's definitely.
I'm pretty sure that's Will Ferrell in real life.
That's definitely Will Ferrell.
He's playing himself.
I don't know if you know this. Jon Favreau directed that movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jon Favreau directs that movie, and he has gone on to actually make some pretty decent movies. So.
Yeah.
But Elf, it's a great time. I love Will Ferrell, and I love Elf. I think Zooey Deschanel does a good job in the movie, too. All the little things that Will Ferrell does in this movie because he thinks he's an elf crack me up, and then just everything about it's a fun time, and I really enjoy this one. So.
At number 3, I got the classic Gremlins.
Okay.
I mean, I just feel like Dylan's not a big fan of Gremlins. I don't know how
you're a big Gremlins fan.
I don't know how you're not a big fan. You know, if you feed them after midnight, they turn into little ugly creatures.
It's okay.
There's some great scenes in there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen it a few times, and it's
I love the scene where the mom sticks the gremlin in the microwave and it pops. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
That whole movie's about consumerism.
Well, yeah, but so. I mean, they may be a little anti-consumerism, but who isn't these days? Anyway, it's fine. The little main gremlin, I forget his name.
Gizmo.
I
know that, and I'm not even a big fan of Gremlins.
I didn't say I'm a huge fan. I just like it. Gizmo, he's cute. And then, of course, like, the whole thing with the stopping the gremlins and, like, they're, like, taking over the town and everything. It's really fun. Go to your number 2.
Alright.
Or number 3, I don't know.
Coming at number 3 for me is one that I mentioned earlier, directed by Chris Columbus, and that's going to be Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin's
only good role.
Well, he was in one other movie that was actually pretty decent.
Home Alone 2 is alright.
Well, he's in a movie called The Good Son that isn't bad, but
I didn't watch that.
But this is a fun time. Chris Columbus did a really good job with this movie, and it's a classic Christmas one. You have to watch it around Christmas time, or you've committed a cardinal sin of Christmas. It's a great time, and I think that the story of it is really neat, too. I say that about a lot of these movies, honestly. I think the concept of this is cool, too. Kid gets left. He wishes that his family wasn't there. He wakes up the next morning, and they have forgotten him as they go on a trip. And he believes his family has disappeared, and he has left home alone. And he takes care of himself and acts like this little adult and goes shopping. He even has little coupons and stuff, and, like, hands over a coupon for some orange juice, walks home, and he just, he carries on about his day. And then we get our 2 robbers that come in middle-ish into the film and try to take over his home, and he sets up all these little booby traps trying to prevent them from breaking him, and he's just a creative little kid, and it's a fun time, and I really enjoy it. So it's my number 3.
Yeah, I got Home Alone at number 2. Not just saying this to sneak a Godzilla reference in, although I kind of am. This basic plot of this movie is ripped right off a Godzilla movie from the 60s. Home Alone does everything better. But there is a Godzilla movie in the 60s where these two guys kidnap this kid and take him to this warehouse. And then he, like, sort of booby traps the warehouse and, like, beats him up. But anyway, that aside, I doubt that Chris Columbus actually watched that movie and ripped off of it. But this movie is great, like I said. It's kind of funny how he acts like a little adult. And then, although it is funny when he gets home alone and he has to set up all these booby traps and like fend off these robbers.
I love how he uses that movie in both movies.
How he uses that movie in both movies.
The older film that's in the movie that he uses to like mess with the people, like with the guy who comes and delivers the pizza, and he's like,
yeah.
"Merry Christmas, you filthy animal."
Yeah.
I don't know what movie that is, but
I don't either. Yeah, Home Alone. It's a fun time. Macaulay Culkin. I mean, if you saw him now,
he actually looks a lot better than he has in the past.
okay, he looks
He's getting
better
his life
now
on track.
than he did a couple years ago. A couple
He's getting
years
his
ago,
life on track.
he looked like he was a scarecrow on lettuce.
What number are we at? Number 2?
You're on your number 2.
Alright, well, coming in at number 2 is an animated classic for me.
Alright.
This is a movie I have a tradition of every year since it first came out in 2004.
It's not even that good.
Just stop. I love this movie.
It's not even that good.
I watch it every Christmas Eve since 2004 when it came out, and we were in 2018. That is 14 years.
Jesus.
I've watched every Christmas Eve for 14 years, and that is The Polar Express. Robert Zemeckis.
It's a 10-page kids novel.
Robert Zemeckis does a great job with this movie. Tom Hanks provides the voice for a lot of the characters in this movie, and I think he does a great job in this movie as well. I always wanted to go on the Polar Express when I was a kid. I wish it was a real thing.
It's not real.
I know it's not real. If it was real, I would do it now. It'd be so much fun. Just to take a trip to the North Pole.
I mean, if the Millennium Falcon was real, I'd take a ride on it too, but... I mean, I guess
Stop crushing my hopes
Disney's
and-
trying to make it a real thing.
Stop crushing my hopes and dreams, Aaron.
Okay, I'm sorry. This train's gonna pop out of nowhere tonight, and it's gonna be like...
No, it only happens on Christmas Eve.
It's cold. It feels like...
Anyway, it's a really good time. I enjoy it. For the time, I think the animation of it is pretty good. It was semi-groundbreaking, I think, at the time. It was...
no. Toy Story looks way better than Toy Story.
Don't you know? This was... some of the characters in this movie looked so real. Especially when I was a kid. They looked so real. And some of the animals looked so real. I was like, wow, this is good.
Okay.
Anyway, I just really enjoy this movie. I always have a fun time. Like I said, it's part of my Christmas tradition of watching it every year on Christmas Eve. So I enjoy it a lot, and it's my number 2.
Choo-choo.
Choo-choo.
Number 1, I have the classic National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
The Griswolds.
Griswolds, yeah, you got old Chevy Chase. He's got his little family there, and it's Christmas time. And their little trip to what was the place called in the first movie?
Wally World.
The little trip to Wally World didn't work out, so they're staying home for Christmas this time. And this movie is funny. You had the little animated opening sequence with Santa and getting caught in the Christmas lights and everything, and then you have the scene where he's putting the lights up on the roof and he falls off of it. And I love every time he tries to plug in the Christmas lights. It's like a running joke through the movie, and they always burn out and everything. And nobody ever sees him until the very end. And he's his cousin. What's his cousin's name?
Cousin Ed.
Cousin Ed.
Eddie.
Cousin Eddie. Or his dog, and how he's emptying his RV sewer into the gutters or whatever.
That's highly illegal.
Just a little illegal. I think it blows up too.
It does blow up.
And,
or he imagines it blows up.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, it's a funny movie, and I really like it. So what you got to your number 1?
Alright, well, coming in at my number 1 is the same as your number 1, and that is going to be Christmas Vacation. I enjoy this movie way too much. Like you said, from that opening animated scene, it's just a really good time. And from the opening scene of them going and hunting down this Christmas tree, and we have this whole thing where they show up at the Christmas tree farm and with the semi, and this one guy's trying to like pass them, and he's like, you're not passing me. So he passes him back, and then he ends up flying off this snowbank and lands right at the Christmas tree farm, and then they walk out into the woods and cut this Christmas tree down, and it takes up the entire top of their station wagon as they're headed home, and they get it in their house, and then he cuts the string off of it because it's been twined up and bundled up, and it just busts out the side of the windows. I mean, it's just hilarious. One of my favorite lines is the line in the movie when they first get the Christmas tree home, and because they forgot to saw off the car, they couldn't cut the tree down, so they just had to yank it up and attach it to the car. So it's got the roots and everything attached to it. So he comes out wearing a hockey mask and has a chainsaw, and he takes it and he starts cutting it, and his neighbor comes out. He's like, "Where do you think you're going to put that?" And he says, "Bend over and I'll show you." It's one of the best lines in the whole movie, and I love it. It's so fun, and it's just a great time, and I love it way too much. So it's my number one.
All right, we better get to this news and trailer section because we have a lot to talk about.
Woo!
Okay, first of all, it's going to be really somber. Today, the legend Stan Lee passed away. And
at the ripe old age of 95.
Yeah, I mean, it really did hit me hard. I love Stan Lee. I love his cameos. Obviously, he created my favorite superhero of all time, Spider-Man, along with a bunch of my other favorites, X-Men, Hulk, you name it, Fantastic Four. But yeah, so I mean, it's really hard to. It
really is sad because we have him to thank for the comic book movie, probably, I'd venture to say.
Yeah, most of the really popular Marvel heroes are created by Stan Lee.
I mean, he created Iron Man,
Spider-Man, X-Men, Hulk,
most of the Marvel,
most of the Avengers.
So, without him, we wouldn't have gotten a 2008 Iron Man film.
We wouldn't have gotten a Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
We wouldn't have gotten the entire MCU, which would have been sad. What would our life be without the MCU?
The DCEU. But yeah, so...
We wouldn't have had Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But thank you, Stanley.
So yeah, thank you, Stanley, for everything you did.
Rest in peace.
He's a great man. So let's move on to a little bit
we got coming up.
cheerier note, I guess. Detective Pikachu trailer dropped today.
Detective Pikachu.
I was rolling with it. I was like, okay.
All right.
Until he started talking.
Ryan Reynolds.
At first, I thought it was T.J. Miller, and I about flipped. I had pen in hand ready to write an angry letter to somebody. And then I realized.
Do you not like T.J. Miller?
God, no.
Why?
I hate T.J. Miller.
I think he's kind of funny
he's so
in the Deadpool movies.
No. Oh, I can't do it. Don't even get started. I lost track. Okay, then I figured out, it's Ryan Reynolds, but I didn't want Pikachu to be like this smart aleck kind of thing like they got. I wanted him, either he did not need to talk at all, he just needed to like
Pika.
Do Pika Pika, speak through body language and everything. If he had to talk, it needed to be, I know some people would probably disagree with me on this. It needed to be in like this cute little
childlike voice.
I'm not saying Ryan Reynolds isn't cute or childlike.
Love that guy.
But
did anyone ask for this movie?
Not really. I mean, Pokemon have made kind of a comeback with they had that Pokemon game that was a big hit here a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and Pokemon is probably it and Dragon Ball Z popularized anime in the United States. I mean, growing up, I watched a ton of Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! On Cartoon Network and everything. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a Pokemon fan. I haven't watched enough of it for that. But I like Pikachu. I like Ash and his friends and two little bad guys that have a cat thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be alright. Ryan Reynolds can be funny. I'm not Ryan Reynolds' biggest fan. I'm not as hyped on the Deadpool films as most everybody else.
Deadpool's good.
It's alright. It is Ryan Reynolds' best work compared to Green Lantern and the proposal, I guess. I don't know. But what about you? What are you in?
I've never really been a fan of Pokemon. I'm sorry to people out there who are fans of Pokemon. Just something I never got into as a kid. Didn't really care. So I mean, this movie looks like it might be a fun time. Ryan Reynolds will bring a humorous aspect to it, but I feel like if we're being honest, I'm not a Pokemon fan, so I mean, I can't speak to what they would say, but I have a feeling that they're not gonna care for this very much.
I got a feeling. I don't get the feeling, the vibe that this is made for fans. I get the feeling this is more of a cash grab.
They're like, you know what? Let's take this kid who happened to be in Jurassic World 2. It was the worst part about that movie.
No, he's not the worst part. He's
he
not
is
good.
the worst actor in that movie.
Everybody's bad in that movie. I have to say, I don't know.
I don't know. He's pretty bad. He's pretty obnoxious in that movie. And we have him, and I have a big feeling he's gonna be Ash's son.
Yeah, I got a feeling that too.
Plot
They're
twist.
like, we gotta go looking for your dad.
Who's your dad? Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, I got that. I got that feeling. I figured out the plot already, guys.
So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, I feel like it's not gonna really resonate with Pokemon fans very much. It looks like it's gonna be very Americanized.
Very Americanized,
And
very
it's aimed at
streamlined.
children, sort of.
Well, yeah, it's aimed at children.
Younger teens. It's aimed at
Bringing
younger
in
teens.
Ryan Reynolds, they're hoping to kind of get the parents in the audience too, get them interested. Obviously, there's a lot of 20, 30-year-olds who grew up with Pokemon that are probably want to go see it. But, I don't know, they're going to have to do a better job marketing it because that first trailer did not sell me on it.
Nope.
I mean, I'm going to go see it. I got it on our schedule.
Yeah.
For whether Dylan wants to see it or not.
I don't have a problem.
But you know what else dropped today?
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4 teaser trailer. I mean, I was already choking up in the trailer. I'm going to be bawling during that movie.
It's gonna be such a good movie.
The teaser poster with Woody like in his like gray brown background, just kind of looking back. Oh man, it hit me
And that
hard.
teaser trailer didn't really have a whole lot to it. It was just them kind of like
dancing in the trailer. I do like
ring around the rosy style in a
little
circle,
thing.
and then there's a little
or
spoon.
fork.
And he's like, he's a spork, yeah. And he's
Spork.
like, I'm not a toy.
I don't know, someone catch him before he pokes somebody's eye out.
It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
That's probably the greatest.
We're gonna have to
animated
go
franchise
back.
Ever.
We are gonna have to go back and rewatch Toy Story. Do we have that on our schedule to rewatch Toy Story?
We don't.
I might have to fit that in because I love Toy Story.
Toy Story's amazing.
It is the best animated trilogy
Ever.
by far ever to ever touch the screen.
So good. I'm so looking forward to that. It's gonna be so much fun.
So also, speaking of animated-ish movies, we watched the Missing Link trailer, which is on our schedule for next year, I think. It might be taken off the schedule.
She looks rough.
I mean, I don't have a problem with claymation. I don't know how you feel.
No,
about
I don't have a problem with claymation.
They're not my favorite type of films, but they can be well made. I think it's got Hugh Jackman and Zach Galifianakis as the two main voices in it.
Lord rest their souls. They must have needed a paycheck.
They needed a paycheck. Hugh Jackman doesn't have that Wolverine money coming in anymore. It's, I mean, I'm not going to say it looks terrible, but I'm not going to say it looks good either.
It definitely doesn't look good. It's gonna be a movie.
Yeah.
It will be a movie.
And continuing with our
Animated theme.
we have The Secret Life of Pets 2. I know Dylan has not watched the original.
I have not watched the first one.
But since you haven't, what did you think about that trailer, though, for the sequel?
I think it'll be alright. From what I heard about the first one, it was kind of a Toy Story knockoff with pets.
Oh, yeah, it's generic Toy Story rip-off like a bunch of other movies. And it's not, all the funny parts were in the trailer, so if you've watched the trailer, you've seen all the funny parts.
Okay, cool.
So basically just watch the trailer, you've seen the movie.
Alright, cool. So, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, the trailer is actually pretty funny.
It's kind of funny. I mean, this dog's getting dragged along, and he's like, I don't want to go to the vet. I don't want to go to the vet. And then they take him into the vet, and there's like a bunch of like
yeah, it's like a
animals. It's like a mental hospital for pets. And there's like all these animals have like different like disorders. There's like a cat, and it's like got problems. There's a
what does the cat say? He's like,
I don't even know.
She's
I
like,
bring dead animals.
oh yeah, I bring a dead bird, and she doesn't like it.
Bring a dead rat, he throws it in the trash. And then she just goes off. And then there's another dog, and he's like paranoid, and like,
I'm a good dog, right?
he's like, I'm a good dog, I'm a good
But what
dog.
if
He
deep down
tells
in-
me a good dog, I'm a good dog, but what if really deep down inside, I'm a bad dog.
I know.
If I'm a bad dog.
It's
It's
just
just,
entertaining.
it was a funny trailer. I mean, I think it'll be okay, so we'll see where
It's
it
on our
goes.
it's on our list.
It is on our list.
I don't know if I put the first one on there to watch, but
No, I don't think so.
continuing with our theme of animated crap. I mean stuff. So Pacific Rim. I believe Dylan's watched the first one at least.
I have watched the first one.
Netflix is on this roll of like turning popular and semi-popular stuff into TV shows and or animated TV shows. So their next project is a Pacific Rim anime. How do you feel about that?
The first Pacific Rim is good.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from you,
Don't
the
watch
second one is not good.
I mean, it's not complete garbage. It's just a generic blockbuster.
I mean, I enjoyed the first one quite a bit. I'm not a huge anime fan by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
I've never honestly sat down and watched an entire anime series all the way through. I don't even think I've watched an
Tragedy.
entire season of an anime all the way through.
What a tragedy.
We might have to work on that here.
You
pretty
didn't
soon.
watch The Last Airbender when it was on Nickelodeon?
No.
What? What's wrong with you?
I didn't watch that. Didn't watch Dragon Ball Z. Didn't watch Pokemon. Didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh. I've never seen Death Note. Never seen. I've never seen Full Metal Alchemist.
Attack on Titan.
Never seen Attack on
Oh
Titan.
God.
I've never watched any of these movies. Yes, I know I am a terrible person for that.
Yes.
So maybe we'll sit down and watch some of these eventually.
Yeah.
But Pacific Rim is an anime. It might be all right, considering the fact that that's where the basis of that story comes from is Japan.
Yeah. So you would think
They're kaiju, so
yeah, they're referred to as kaiju. You would think for me this would be like a match made in heaven. I love giant monster movies from Japan. I love anime. I'm not gonna call myself an anime aficionado because I've definitely not watched all of them, but I have watched the original Full Metal Alchemist back from front to back. I'm working on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm caught up on Attack on Titan. I watched all of, what did we watch all of? We watched all of Death Note. Me and Andrew sat down and watched all of Death Note. I watched back when Last Airbender was on Nickelodeon. I'm pretty sure I've seen all the episodes of that. And when I was young, I watched quite a bit of Dragon Ball Z and
Adam watched one the other day called One Punch Man.
yeah,
It looked
Adam-
pretty fun.
He said it was pretty funny. Anime can be really good. I mean, there are anime tropes that if you can't get over, you're not gonna like it. But I don't think they're huge hurdles. And then Pacific Rim, like Dylan said, the first movie's pretty good. I'm actually not a huge Pacific Rim fan. I thought the first one, like I said, was pretty decent. Second one's not. But, you know, this is not the only thing Netflix is turning into an anime. I am far more excited about Netflix has gotten the rights to make an anime Ultraman series. For those of you who are probably most of you who don't know who Ultraman is, it's a Japanese, old 60s Japanese TV show, live action TV show, where this giant alien fights giant monsters. It's super cheesy. It's like Godzilla on TV, just cheesier. But it's great. I love every second of it. And I'm going to skip the next thing on the notes and go right to, speaking of companies turning movie products into TV shows, this is kind of old news, but I thought it kind of fit with the Pacific Rim anime thing, and I've been kind of wanting to talk about it. Amazon is turning Lord of the Rings into the most expensive TV show ever produced. I believe they said it's going to be, at least start off as a 10-episode, $1 billion project of Lord of the Rings.
How long are each episode supposed to be?
I don't know, like an hour, hour and a half? I don't know. Probably like an hour and a half.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a prequel to everything we've seen so far.
That's expensive.
It is very expensive. That averages out to what? $10 million an episode? Which is actually about what they spend on Game of Thrones now. But,
Well, Game of Thrones, they're making like a movie an episode, so.
yeah.
Like this next season, from what I've understood about Game of Thrones, each episode is supposed to be at the least an hour and a half, up to 2 hours.
Yeah, but they're only making 6 episodes.
Still, that's 6 movie-length episodes.
I need it. I need it. I need it now.
Anyway, getting back to Lord of the Rings, I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, yeah.
Not the Hobbit movies.
Not the Hobbit trilogy, but the original trilogy I really like.
The original Lord of the Rings movies are really good. Peter Jackson
They're
did
great.
a great job with those, so it could be interesting.
I feel bad for Peter Jackson that he's having to take jobs like Mortal Engines. We
Sorry.
have to stop London before it destroys us all.
That's gonna be terrible. I'm sorry. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Anyway, let's go ahead and take a step back to the one we skipped. We have seen this trailer.
No. Well, let's keep in theme with what we're talking about.
Okay,
Instead
fair.
of a movie going to TV show, we had TV show
Going to movie. Breaking Bad.
The movie.
What do you guys think?
It's what I surmise is
It's a sequel to this series.
and it's gonna follow Jesse after his little kidnapping thing. I have to say, spoiler alert for the show if you haven't seen the end of it. So at the last episode, Jesse's being kidnapped by these drug dealers to reproduce the blue crystal meth. So Walter, he goes in there, saves Jesse with this big elaborate scheme, but gets himself killed in the process.
Dies.
And anyway, I found the ending kind of unsatisfying because really after he sets Jesse free, they just kind of stare at each other, and then Jesse runs off and gets in the truck and drives away. Which, I mean, I understand why they did it that way. I don't know. I think there might have been better ways to handle it. I thought Breaking Bad as a whole, the last 2 or 3 episodes, kind of struggled ending that. But I am really interested to see if they can make a good movie out of what happens next. How does Jesse deal with the death of Walter? How does Jesse move on after being kidnapped? Does he get over his addiction problems? You know, he had a really rough time in that TV show.
I think it'll be a really good movie. It's got the potential.
You watched Breaking Bad from beginning to end, right?
Not beginning to end. I've seen the first 3 seasons, and I already knew the ending of the movie or the ending of the TV show. So I've had it spoiled well before I've seen the ending of the TV show. I had it spoiled back like when it first ended. I was like, they're like, Walter dies. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it from beginning to end. I mean, if you've watched any of it, you know how it's going to end. Walter's going to die. They don't hide that fact. But
it's a good show.
It's a good show. I'd say it's probably,
and it's got the potential to be a really interesting movie. So
it's my second favorite live action TV show.
Behind Game of Thrones, I'm
behind the greatest show ever made, Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Well, how would you feel? How much of Game of Thrones have you watched?
The entire first season, and I'm on episode 1.
Okay, well, you haven't watched that much of it,
No.
but I don't think they're going to do that like this. I kind of wish they would end it with a feature-length movie on the big, not, obviously I think all these episodes are going to be feature-length, but a big budget, 2.5 hour extravaganza on the big screen. Honestly, I haven't heard about any plans to do that. I doubt they plan to do that. I hear their next step is a bunch of prequel spin-offs. Kind of worries me, but whatever. But I think that's a cool idea, but I mean, I don't know.
Alright, so getting back
So yeah, taking a couple
away
steps back.
from our TVs and movie being made into TV shows or TV shows being made into movies, let's take a step back to one that we skipped a little bit ago. Captain Marvel. We've seen this trailer a few times. I know this trailer came out quite a while back.
Yeah.
But we saw it again when we watched Overlord.
Actually, funny quick story. We heard it.
We did hear it. The picture was not
we didn't
working,
see
but
it,
we
the
instantly knew what it
picture
was.
not working. So it took them a while to get that on track. I kind of got worried a couple of times during Overlord. It kind of went black.
It
for,
flashed. I was like,
I was like, oh crap.
But Captain Marvel, what are your thoughts?
I have said in the past that every Marvel movie is serviceable, even Thor: The Dark World.
Even the worst ones.
And I got a feeling this one's going to be serviceable too.
It's not going to be terrible.
But from this trailer, I don't see a great written on this. There are intriguing elements, such as CGI-faced Samuel L. Jackson and Phil Coulson. That'll be interesting to see how well that looks. We all saw it in Rogue One. It's a little sketchy in Rogue One.
Who said they're going to be CGI-faced?
Huh?
Who said they're going to be CGI-faced?
I read it.
Oh,
They're de-aging Samuel L. Jackson and Phil Coulson. I forget the actor's name.
Okay, cool.
But they're de-aging them through special effects.
Oh, all right.
Similar to the way they did. Well, not similar. Yeah, they did it. I think the first movie that made it really popular was the Tron Legacy or whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't look terrible in Tron Legacy.
No, but yeah.
Then they did it. Well, they didn't really do it. They CGI completely Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. Like they had an actor stand in for him, but they CGI'd his face. It did not look great in Rogue One.
And neither did Princess Leia at the end.
Princess Leia. Well, I mean, because the look at her was so quick, it wasn't. I didn't think it was as noticeable. But yeah, it didn't look phenomenal. But I think that it's different there because they were totally reconstructing those faces. Whereas with Samuel L. Jackson, he's there playing himself. They're just
making it look a little younger.
They're taking some wrinkles out, you know.
I mean, we're taking it back, 25 years to the 90s.
I mean, he looks the same as he did in Pulp Fiction, really.
Yeah.
Just a little, bald. But I mean, like that's an interesting element. Obviously, it's really the Marvel equivalent of Wonder Woman, and it's the MCU's first big female-led blockbuster.
Female directed too.
Female directed too. That's all great. And I don't say that sarcastically. I really mean that. It is great. My issue, I'm trying to traverse this as lightly as I can because I really don't mean this in an offensive way at all. My issue with Wonder Woman is I feel like because of the status of like one of the first big female-led blockbusters with a female director and everything, I feel like a lot of critics gave that film some slack in some areas that it otherwise wouldn't have gotten slack in. And obviously it was a big hit. Audiences liked it too.
I mean, honestly, I think Wonder Woman's probably the best DCEU film.
It is, but that doesn't make it good. I think the first 2/3 of that movie... Okay, I'll take that back. The first third of that movie is a really solid film. The second third slows down a bit, but it's still pretty good.
The CGI in the third act?
The third act is bad.
It's bad.
The third act all around. I don't know why anybody would defend the third act as bad. It's so generic and the CGI is so bad.
I had someone argue that the CGI of Ares in that movie and the CGI of Steppenwolf in Justice League looked better than Thanos.
They didn't watch the same movie we did.
Obviously did not watch the same movie.
They might have watched a rough cut of Avengers, maybe.
No.
I mean, Steppenwolf and Ares looked like they're straight out of a PS2 cutscene.
Yes.
And that's being nice, okay? They're rough. They're real rough. I don't understand. And I mean, this is getting a little off on a little tangent about Marvel and DC. I do not understand why the DC films, Warner Brothers, does not put more pride in their effects. They have just as much money going into these films as Marvel does.
Maybe not quite as much. I mean,
we're talking hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
There's no reason for this CGI to look as bad as it does. Part of the reason, I think, is because the DC films, they're made a lot lazier. The Marvel films do a lot of filming on location. Obviously, there's a lot of CGI in them. But there's a lot of filming on location. They start those movies really early in the production process. They work really hard on that CG. DCEU films are a lot of filming in green rooms. Star Wars prequels.
Sorry.
And so they're not only having to CGI the characters, they're having to CGI in the environments around them, which I'm sure costs them money out the wazoo. But anyway, that was a tangent. I'll get back on track here.
We're getting back to Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Brie Larson.
I like Brie Larson.
I haven't watched the movie that made her famous, which was Room.
I don't know that that's the movie that made her famous, but...
I think it is. What else is she really in for that?
She's done a few things.
I think Room made her famous.
Room was one of her more recent movies that she had a big breakout in.
Yeah. The movie, I haven't watched that, like I said.
It's good.
The movie I know her from is Kong Skull Island. I mean, there's no glorious writing going on in that movie, so, I mean, she does alright what she's given. But I think she's a good actress. She has the potential to do well. I don't know. We'll just have to see. It has a Green Lantern vibe. The fighter pilot storyline, I've seen that before.
It didn't go well the last time.
It didn't go well the last time. I don't know how I feel. Like, I've got a feeling that she's going to come in Avengers 4 and she's going to be like the great savior of the day. And I don't know how that's going to turn out exactly. I don't want to...
I feel like her, and now because of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Scott Lang being trapped in the quantum realm, I feel like they're going to just like come in and like oh, we're here to save the day.
I don't like that. I want Iron Man, Captain America, and the original Avengers to save the day. I don't want Captain Marvel coming in and just magically saving the day. I don't want Ant-Man and his little bitty quantum realm, like, changing reality and jumping through time and all that crap. That really screws with me.
Well, while we're talking about Avengers, some news that came out recently from directors Anthony and Joe Russo. They're talking about this movie could possibly be 3 hours long.
Man, I don't mind that. I mean, Avengers 3...
That actually excites me.
Avengers 3 was a long movie.
2 hours and 29 minutes.
I thought it could have been longer. I loved it from
3 hours excites me.
I mean, yeah, I don't mind long epics. Like I say, there is no point in the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings films where I'm like, oh my god, this has been so long, it's so boring. I love those movies from beginning to end. Obviously, I've talked a lot about on this podcast, run length can be a problem if you are not right on target with your pacing.
But as far as Marvel movies go, and especially the Avengers movies, say for Age of Ultron, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
They do a really good job with those movies. I mean, that's their punch in at the end of each phase. I mean, the combined production cost of Avengers 3 and 4 was well over $1 billion, I believe. Now, $100 million of that went to Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, let's be fair. A quarter to a third of all these budgets are going to Robert Downey Jr.
Because he needs his money.
He needs his cash.
But 3 hours, I like it.
Yeah.
If we get a 3 hours Avengers movie, I'll be happy the whole time I'm sitting there watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I got concerns about Avengers 4, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like most of the movie's gonna be spent on doing what they did last movie, which does not excite me, really. But
I hope that they don't completely, necessarily undo everything they did, but find a way to defeat Thanos without completely undoing everything.
Yeah, and I wonder, is Thanos even gonna be in the main
Supposedly, Thanos is not supposed to be the main antagonist in the film.
Yeah, I wonder who are they gonna bring in? Like,
maybe
who's
Death,
bigger and badder than
maybe Death?
Death. Is he a character?
She's a character, and Thanos is in love with her.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. I mean, yeah, maybe. But Galactus, they got the rights to Galactus back, so they can bring him back.
There's also a thought process. I don't know who they're saying the antagonist is going to be, because I've never read the storyline. The going trend right now of what they're thinking the title is going to be is Avengers Annihilation, and there's a huge story arc in the comics that's called Annihilation, Avengers Annihilation. And they're thinking it might follow that storyline. I don't know exactly who the antagonist is in that, but if it follows that, maybe it could be whoever that is.
All I know is that Iron Man, Captain America,
and Thor.
Probably Thor.
They're going to be gone.
They're not making it to the end of that movie.
Iron Man is supposed to show up in the next Spider-Man movie, though.
I got a feeling that's going to be... The timeline of that is going to be wacky.
I think it's supposed to take place before Infinity War, or right after Infinity War.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
And then Black Widow lives. She's got her own solo movie coming out.
Yep.
Of course, most of the new ones will come back and they'll live. All the Guardians of the Galaxy will come back. So that's my problem with... This is me prejudging the movie, but that's the problem. I already know that a bunch of these characters aren't going to stay dead. The writers came out and said Gamora is coming back, which, I don't know.
I'm okay with that, because she's one of the best parts. She's one of the best parts of Guardians of the Galaxy.
That
takes away a lot of the emotional
from
aspect of Infinity War, because he has to kill her to get that Infinity Stone.
So, I mean, if you watch Infinity War by itself, like, if you just stop watching it there, I love that movie. I got a feeling, like, moving forward, coming back and watching it is not going to have near the impact, because all these people are killing off.
You're like, wow, you just killed all these people. It's a good thing I can pop in the next disc and they're going to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, that does bug me. That truly bugs me. But, I'll be
even still, it's gonna be great. What else we got? We got one last thing to talk about.
This is, of course, for me.
It's definitely for Aaron.
Yeah, definitely for me. So, the third film in the legendary Godzilla franchise, fourth film, if you count King Kong Skull Island.
It does count King Kong Skull Island.
Will be King Kong vs. Godzilla, and it's officially started principal photography today.
Oh boy.
So, Dylan, I showed you the original Godzilla, and I showed
followed by the 2014 version.
2014 Godzilla.
Because we don't speak of the other one.
We don't speak of Matthew Broderick.
Shh.
What did you think of Gareth Edwards' attempt at a Godzilla movie?
It's not bad. It's got some dull moments for sure.
The acting is, other than
it's
Bryan
subpar.
Cranston, it's pretty garbage.
Subpar. Bryan Cranston is not in this movie long enough.
No, he should have been the main character. I just don't think they could afford him the whole movie.
He's an expensive man.
He is expensive, and they had this movie for blockbuster terms. This movie was pretty inexpensive.
I don't know why they didn't. Is this the monster in that movie? Is that one from any previous movies, or did they just come up with that?
No, those are made up.
Cool. Why didn't they use a regular monster from?
Well,
series?
not to get too deep into this, I think one thing.
Or why didn't they just have Godzilla be Godzilla like in the first movie?
Yeah, that's what they should have done. What they should have done is had Godzilla be just a Godzilla film. The reason they didn't do that...
Why is it gotta fight something?
Yeah, the reason they didn't do that, I think for a couple of reasons. Now that we see what they're coming out with now, I think they wanted to establish Godzilla as at least an anti-hero early on. So you can't really have him going around blowing stuff up. Also, the reason they went with the Mutos, I think, one, they didn't want to have another classic monster to take away from the spotlight of Godzilla. Although Godzilla's only like 8 minutes of the movie, I don't know. Also, Toho is notoriously very stingy when it comes to their monsters, and you have to pay some hefty royalties.
Which they've done.
Which they have done for this next sequel.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
They got Mothra, Ghidorah, and Rodan, possibly others coming back.
Who else is supposed to be in the movie, possibly?
They haven't said yet. The director just said, we have others.
We have others.
And I'm like, ooh. And also, I think it's being confirmed, Mothra, at least Millie Bobby Brown and Vera Farmiga. No, I don't know if Vera Farmiga is confirmed. I know Millie Bobby Brown will be back for King Kong vs. Godzilla. I think these two movies are going to be tied very closely together. And
with that being said, this is the next Godzilla film you have on the list of films that you want to show me before we go see.
Yeah, the original, the 1962 version. I mean, it's a Godzilla movie. I love it.
So, for those of you that don't know, I have never watched I have not really watched any of the Godzilla films until I recently sat down and watched the first one with Aaron, followed by the remake. But he has decided that I need to watch some of the classics. Maybe not all of them, because there are over 30. How many?
Currently 33. Actually, they just released another one in Japan, so 34. About to be 35 next summer. 36 the year after that.
Okay, so going on 36 movies, he has decided I don't have to watch all of them. I might end up doing it anyway, just because. Just because.
What'd you feel about, just quick question, what'd you feel about the first one, like the old original?
The original one, you can tell it's old and it's dated.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt.
But it's good for what it is.
It's dark.
For 1954?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good monster movie. I liked it. Yeah. I mean, it's a fun time, but King Kong vs. Godzilla is the next on the list of movies that he wants to show me.
It's actually the third one in order of release. But we skipped the second one because it's bad.
I heard it's bad. There's a whole list that he's wanting to show me. I'll let him talk about those if he wants to.
Yeah, I don't want to drag it. I don't want to turn this into a Godzilla podcast. But, that's for later. That's for when the new one comes out. But we might, I don't know, as just like a little bonus episode, I might catch you up on the little animated trilogy, so when the new one comes out on Netflix in January, we can watch it. Yeah. And review it or something. But anyway, we'll get off on my little Godzilla tangent.
Are you excited for that one?
Yeah, any other major news trailers I've missed that you want to talk about?
Not that I'm aware of. Let's get into what we got coming up.
Yeah, upcoming, I forgot to put in our notes here. Upcoming, obviously we said we got Fantastic Beasts and The Grinch. We want to review. Hopefully we get to both of them this weekend. Maybe The Grinch will come out in the middle of the week. I don't know. I don't know what Dylan's schedule is. Do you know what your schedule is?
Not yet.
Yeah, so like I said, I want to get to both of them this weekend. We'll see. But both of them will be out and reviewed by Thursday next week. And then the following week we have two more films. Creed 2, I am currently right in the middle of watching. I'm going to go finish Rocky 5 after we get done recording this.
So we got two more films for him to watch.
So then I have to watch Rocky Balboa. I have already seen Creed in the past, but I am going to
We'd like to rewatch it.
I have seen the end of Rocky Balboa, where he fights the dude, and I remember thinking, that's alright. And I have seen Creed. I got mixed feelings about Creed, but I'll revisit it. And
yeah, but we'll talk about that coming up next week. Next week's discussion episode. Obviously, we'll rank the Rocky films, and then for our other top 5, which we're planning on seeing Widows.
Top 5 Liam Neeson.
Top 5 Liam Neeson.
Even though it's not really a Liam Neeson movie.
It's not a Liam Neeson movie.
But he's in it, so
He's in it.
we've got the opportunity. Why not?
We like Liam Neeson.
We love Liam Neeson.
That's a great guy.
I love him.
So that's what we got coming up next week. Anything else you want to add, Aaron?
No, just as always, follow us on those social media accounts at DNA Film Wars, all lowercase. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Absolutely. As always, if you want to leave us any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at DNAFilmWars, all lowercase no space, at gmail.com. We're up on all major podcatching services, or at least all the important ones.
Yeah. If you want to leave us a review, you're welcome to. We would like some reviews. We have no reviews yet.
No.
It's very sad. No emails either.
No emails, but that's okay.
We're very sad. But you can make us. You can give us a Christmas gift, early Christmas gift, by reviewing or commenting on our podcast.
We have gotten some likes, though, on our episodes. So.
I think most of those are from me. But anyway, as always, thank you for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Dylan, and we'll see you next time.